How's it going, guys? Well, today we're dealing with something a little, well, it's Onision. I'll go ahead and just rip that band-aid off. It's Onision. If you're familiar with him, you already know what this is going to look like. Before we get into that, though, guys, I wanted to show you guys some fan art that was shown on my Discord. The first one is a picture of me face-palming from The Legend of Maple, and the second one is another submission from Gaelic Knox, who did the Disney-esque avatar the last time. I love getting fan art like this, and it's honestly a new experience for me, so hopefully showing you guys in the beginning of my videos lets you know that I appreciate it. So without further ado, let's go ahead and see what Onion Boy has to say. Alright, well, with the intro out of the way, this video's title is called Why I Quit Feminism and Atheism. Oh boy, I wasn't aware that I was able to, quit atheism. Let's see if that's a thing that you can do.
Hey guys, so I am not a feminist, I'm not an atheist, for the reasons of me listening to an astrophysicist talk about it.
Okay, well, I have no idea what astrophysicist you're talking about, and you don't link their talk in the description of your video, so I can only assume that what they said must not be very important. I mean, I'm going to be referencing your video, and it will be linked in my description. Let's see if you mention it in the rest of the video.
He was saying that atheism comes with this idea that you hate Christians. Atheism comes with this idea, like when you think of atheism, you're thinking, oh, that person thinks they're better than Christians and that Christians are stupid, and they think that basically people in general are stupid who believe in basically anything.
What? Anybody in my audience, can you please point to a time where I have said that somebody is stupid for believing something? No? Well, then I guess I'm an atheist that doesn't think people are stupid for believing in God or gods. In fact, let me go ahead and look up the Oxford Dictionary definition of atheism and see if it has what you're talking about. Well, it looks like Oxford says that it's the disbelief or lack of belief in the existence of God or gods. Even in the etymology of atheism, there is no actual reference to thinking that Christians are stupid. In fact, in the early 1st and 2nd century, the Greeks and Romans would tend to call Christians atheist because they disbelieved in their particular gods. So again, I don't see anywhere in the current usage or in the history of that word that it says that you must, hate Christians, or necessarily think they're stupid. You might, as I tend to do, think that there's a particular unfounded belief in certain deities, probably applying something like Clifford's principle in order to demonstrate that somebody's belief doesn't necessarily have a good foundation, but there are some Christians that do have a good foundation for their belief. But for me to really parse out what's meant by this, I would need to go to the original video you're referencing with the astrophysicist. Unfortunately, because you didn't link that, I have no way of knowing what they meant. So I'm left with what you said, and what you said is wrong. Continuing.
And I think it's really not fun. I don't want to act like those people are lesser than me, the atheists by stereotype and so forth, but I don't want to be that way.
So don't. I'm not. In fact, it's very easy for me to be an atheist and not be that way.
You know, I want to be a little bit more accepting, and I don't want to make videos where I just like crap on people for their beliefs. That, you know, this is how a lot of people in society work. We try to figure out a way that we can convince people that these people are hurting other people, so we can feel good when we publicly hurt them.
The term you're looking for is othering. It's part of tribalism. You tend to find a way to other the people who you don't agree with in order to make them sound more appealing to persecute from your end of the tribe.
And if you've ever been to church or whatever, they never talk, like no church I've ever been to has talked about how much they hate gay people. They've never talked about how they want to vote against gay people or anything like that.
Hold that thought. Let me go ahead and grab a clip from one of my earlier videos on Pastor Steven Anderson.
Because if you executed the homos like God recommends, you wouldn't have all this AIDS. Anybody who's a homo or bi, it's all the same, okay? It says, even both of them have committed an abomination. They shall surely be put to death, their blood shall be upon them. And that, my friend, is the cure for AIDS. It was right there in the Bible all along. And they're out spending billions of dollars and research and testing. It's curable, right there. Because if you executed the homos like God recommends, you wouldn't have all this AIDS running rampant.
As well as this clip from Jeff Owens, who has at the very least apologized for this clip.
In America, we need to stop burning flags and start burning fags. It's about time somebody said what needs to be said. It's vile, it's reprobate, and AIDS is a curse sent from God. It's a curse sent from God. You say, well, you shouldn't say that. Well, don't you say it, I will. It's my turn. We need Hunt a Homo Week. We do. You know, that straighten it up, just put it on television, brother. Put it on television, that put them back in the closet. I'm going to tell you something. Those of you that are yelling and screaming and shouting, the reason they came out of the closet because there weren't enough men on the other side of the closet to keep them in. You'd be a man, we wouldn't have that problem. You know, we just take them all out and shoot them with a scatter shotgun.
There's also this clip from the news talking about multiple pastors who have done exactly what you say they haven't done.
The Bible's against it, God's against it, I'm against it.
In a recent sermon, the Baptist pastor Charles Worley suggested gays and lesbians should be imprisoned behind an electric fence.
In a few years, they'll die out. Do you know why they can't reproduce?
So your little son starts to act a little girlish.
Another pastor, also in North Carolina, recently apologized after he told parents to slap children they suspect of being gay.
The second you see your son dropping the limp wrist, you walk over there and crack that wrist.
They shun the love of God.
Reverend Billy Ball supports his colleague's view that homosexuality is a sin.
Sodomy has always been an abomination, both Old and New Testament, has always been, in God's view, punishable by death.
And I could provide more and more and more and go on and on and on, but I'm not going to because I think, at least I would hope, that you get the point. These people exist, and the problem isn't that they believe the Bible, the problem is that they use it as a weapon against other people. Believe in your God all you want. I don't care. Try to use that God or that book as a baseball bat against another living, breathing, thinking human being, and you're going to piss me off. And if you try to say that these people don't exist, and that they don't weaponize this book, then you are going to piss me off. So unless you've been living under a rock, and as a public figure on the internet, I would hope that's not the case, don't say that people like this, that say these things, don't exist, and that this doesn't happen in real churches.
But a lot of atheists will try to convince you that every Christian is like a secret homophobe or whatever. And there are actually plenty of Christians who are homosexual. So it doesn't really make sense in that regard.
Of course it doesn't make sense. There are some Christians, and I know some of them, who have been able to square the passages in the Bible and the idea of an all-loving God with their personal sexuality. And you know what? Good on them. But you can't use small anecdotal examples as evidence that these things don't happen, when all it takes is about a 2-minute Google search to prove you wrong.
And you gotta realize, like, everyone on YouTube here is for profit. Like, if I really was one of those people, which is weird because I just said everyone, but if I was one of those people in the way that all I cared about was profit, I would step in line, I would pick a niche, and I would try to exploit that as much as possible.
That's not called exploitation, that's called marketing. And last I checked, marketing is what lets people maintain having jobs, period. I would hope that you don't use the argument that you don't double down on a niche as a method to justify whether your channel lives or dies. There's nothing wrong with a gaming channel finding that their audience really enjoys them talking about gaming history and doubling down on that niche. There's nothing wrong with a skeptic channel finding that people like video responses and philosophy and doubling down on that niche. It's not exploitation.
I.e., I would try to demonize a group of people constantly, like DDLG. I do that.
Wait, so you're gonna say that you wouldn't demonize a type of people constantly and then say that you did? Wait, that doesn't make any... Wait, what? Moreover, have you not ever actually done any research into DDLG people? I'm not gonna get terribly into it here, but there's nothing wrong with an adult finding that it's more comfortable for them to recede. Moreover, it's not exactly terrible if somebody finds themselves as the dominant of somebody who happens to be receding that way. At the surface level, that's really all of it is. is. And in fact, most people who find themselves as the little in a DDLG relationship are actually using it as a coping mechanism because they were victims of abuse at some point. So do you really want to double down on the fact that you demonize somebody who has a coping mechanism for being an abuse victim? If you think I'm misrepresenting you, then you always have the option of letting me know so in my comment section, or Twitter, or literally any other method of contacting me. But from this side of the pond, that sounds like what you said.
I already did that. I haven't done it in a while, but my point is that these people are being paid to have extremist views, just like Alex Jones, just like my dog barking upstairs.
Ah yes, the extremist views of doubling down on a niche about video gaming. That is going after a niche, sir. Same thing with comic books or, my side of YouTube. I guess I'm an extremist. I guess any channel talking about a specific subset of video game or comic culture is an extremist channel now. You probably wouldn't say that those channels are extremist, though. But here's the issue. You're using incredibly sloppy language, and when you use incredibly sloppy language, then it's very easy to pick it apart.
They're all paid to do what they're doing. And they do it for attention, they do it for increased subscribers, they do it because they want to feel self-righteous, they want to be better than everyone else, etc. And that's their deal, but it's not my deal.
I'm just not going to touch that one.
Feminism. Feminism is a great concept, but unfortunately it has a stereotype now. And the reason you actually pay attention to stereotypes like this astrophysicist explained,
the astrophysicist that you're not going to name, right?
Is because you don't want people to have preconceived notions about who you are just from saying that you're a member of a group of people, okay? The most popular view of feminism is that they are just a bunch of crazy people who think women are better than everyone, and they really hate dogs that bark a lot.
Okay, so what if that's the most popular view of feminism? Usually when people represent feminism that way, they're talking about third or fourth wave feminism, or they're grossly ill-informed. It's usually one of the two. Either they understand the history behind it and criticize it because of that, and thus their criticism can be nuanced, or they don't understand the history behind feminism and then just demonize the entire subset of people, which is stupid. But if your argument is that you don't want to be labeled something because people say that that's stupid, then I'm sorry, but I can't really hold to that. I understand that there's a pejorative label to the term atheist. I also understand that there's an incredibly pejorative notion to the idea of somebody being a skeptic. In the early days of my channel, I got a lot of flack on Twitter from some people for having the name skeptic unironically. But so what? If that's what you are, then just own it. Don't say that, oh, well, people don't like it when I call myself this thing, so I'm not going to call myself this thing. Screw other people. If they don't like the fact that you call yourself something, but that thing is in fact what you are, then just own it. You're a big man with a big channel on the big World Wide Web. You can do it. In fact, by doing so, you have the ability to show people that their preconceived notions over whatever label you've chosen for yourself might be wrong. I would hope that my channel has at least managed to change some people's preconceived notions of what an atheist is.
Anyway, the point is, if you want to automatically be seen as somebody who is a man-hater, etc., then you would align yourself with a word as simple as feminism.
Or sexism. Sexism fits that much better than feminism, which usually has more to do with egalitarianism.
Now, if you want to be a person who is judged by themselves for the way they describe themselves to be, and you don't necessarily put labels on it, then you could say, hey, I am a person who believes in equal rights between men and women.
Cool. As it turns out, we've already got a few words for that. We have the term feminism, and if you don't want to use that label for any reason, then you can use the term egalitarian. Those words already exist. It's like saying that I have this shoe and it's pink, but I really don't want to call it pink, so I'm going to call it lightish red. As Red vs. Blue has taught me, there's a word for that. Pink.
And that's it. Because nobody can be like, oh, so you think that women are better than, like, because you just said that's all you are. And as far as atheism goes, I want to say that I don't know. Okay, I don't know if there's a Buddha or whatever.
There was a Buddha. His name was Siddhartha, and in fact, Buddhism usually is atheistic in nature. Do you put any research into the things you say before they come out of your mouth?
I don't know anything about that religion.
Okay, so you don't. Okay, that's fine.
I don't want to say there's not a Muhammad.
There was a historical Muhammad, as far as most historical scholars are concerned. There being or not being a Muhammad is not the linchpin of Islam. The word you're looking for is Allah. Without Allah, there is no Islam.
I don't want to say that there's not, a god or whatever, or Zeus or Hera or whatever, because I don't know. And to act like I do know kind of puts me in that atheist category, where they are outright disbelievers.
No, it doesn't. While in some strict philosophical circles, you could say that the SEP, for instance, labels atheism as a positive position, you could also take the Oxford approach and show that it's not a positive position, it can simply be a lack of belief position. That's the funny thing about language. Words have dual meanings. I know that Steve McRae is gonna lynch me for that, but I also don't care. Me and him hold the same position, and we held different labels for our own reasons.
So that's why I'm not a feminist or an atheist. I am a person who believes in possibility and a person who believes in equal rights. And I hope that we can all kind of take a step back from extreme titles as well. Not trying to reduce atheism or feminism numbers, just trying to increase our peace.
Well, I can at least say that you seem to be coming from a good place, but I know a little bit about your history, so I don't want to say that that's necessarily the case. But I'm also not going to make any judgments, I'm just going to go ahead and suspend those for now. What you're basically arguing against is people's shorthand. Unfortunately though, shorthand is simply a method of communication. It's not extremist for me to call myself an atheist. It wouldn't be extremist if I called myself a feminist. In the same way that it wouldn't be extremist for me to call myself a gamer or a Nintendo fan. These are labels that we use as a method of easy communication. It's much simpler for me to say, I am a Nintendo fan, than for me to say, I am a PC gamer, and the console that I usually pick up is a Nintendo console, and I'm also a fan of the Metroid series, the Mario series, the Zelda series, the Pokemon series, Smash Brothers. I was a huge fan of the time that Rare was actually owned by Nintendo. It's a whole lot simpler for me to just say, I'm a Nintendo fan. Being a Nintendo fan does not mean that I liked GoldenEye on the N64. I don't. And I didn't back then either. The fact that being a Nintendo fan usually comes with the baggage of ye old N64 golden days does not necessarily mean that I have to accept that baggage. Just as you, if you actually are an atheist and a feminist, don't have to accept all the extra baggage that comes with the word feminist or atheist. But with that said, I hope everybody enjoyed the video. If you did, go ahead and leave a like on it, and make sure to hit subscribe if you haven't already. Also, please feel free to join my Discord, as that's the quickest way to get a hold of me in most situations. Sometimes. Kind of. Yeah, anyways, as we move into the Patreon slides, everyone, insert end of video tagline here.